You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
There's no better time than the start of the new year to focus on your sales process and strategy. But you may be asking yourself, where do you begin? Here to tell us what today's dealers need to know about the sales process, especially trial closes, is David Lewis, President and CEO of David Lewis and Associates. You know this gentleman. He has been on CBT News now for the last, I think, 11 years, right, David? Thank you so much for coming back once again to CBT News.
It's been a while, Jim, and you know it's always my pleasure to be with you.
Yep. So there's a lot of dealers out there that are a little nervous because a lot of the salespeople that they hired here in the last 3 years have not been trained to actually sell vehicles. And you know, I don't need any hate mail or emails on that, but it's the reality. I mean, salespeople in the last 3 years haven't had to do a lot of selling, and now it's a new ball game for them. So they're trying to figure this out. And I know that sometimes, you know, you talk about trial closes and things like that. It's like, oh, that might be old school. It's not old school. So David, talk to us about this, because I know that, you know, what's tried and true still works today, right?
Well, it does and it doesn't. And, you know, it is a little bit of old school. I mean, listen, we all know COVID's gone. It's over. It's done with. Inventory issues are now a thing of the past. Dealerships have inventory. You know, I'm hearing this from all my dealers all the time now is, you know, we've got to get back to selling cars. I've got salespeople that have been with me that started during COVID. They're used to taking orders, making big commissions, and now we got to start selling.
Yeah.
And Jim, we got to get back to some of the basic steps of whatever you want to call it, the 10 steps, the road to the sale, of really creating an environment where the customer wants to buy from you.
That's right. That's right. So take it from there. What are you recommending? What are you telling your clients today to focus on? And then what are some of the trial closes that you're talking about?
Well, first of all, what we teach our dealerships is that the salesperson has to really focus on three things. Number one, they've got to get the customer to find a car they love.
Yeah.
We've got to get away from all these, you know, questions, these investigations. What's your budget? What's your timeline? You know, I'm not a big fan, as everyone knows, of the needs analysis, where you drag the customer into the showroom, you ask them 15 questions, you pull up one car. You know, some people do come in and know exactly what they want, and we'll go right to that car.
Sure.
But no, I'm an old school guy. Let's show everybody what we got. Let's show them the inventory. You know, a couple of months ago, I went out to buy a car, and I bought something totally different than I went in there looking to buy, because we walked the inventory and my eye caught something.
That's right.
So we teach them the number one goal is you got to find a car the customer loves. Number two, you got to get the customer to enjoy being with the salesperson. You know, we always talk about building rapport. I think rapport is a big word. I know I'll get a lot of mail about this. I don't think you can build rapport with a customer. You know, we have two different agendas. The customer wants to buy the car when they want to for the least amount of money, and the dealership wants to sell the car today and make the most amount of gross. So two different agendas. You're not going to build rapport, but you can get the customer to like you, to enjoy being with that salesperson. And number three, we got to get them to want to do business at our dealership. And how do we do that? By combining the first two, finding a car they love, getting the salesperson to like them, do a great presentation, and then that brings up that, you know, dreaded trial close. And I get asked this all the time. I can't get my salespeople to do the trial closes. And I got to be honest with you, Jim, I don't want them doing trial closes. The biggest problem we have now is you do a trial close, you get a negative. Salesperson asks if we can come together on terms and numbers. Will you buy the car today? Customer says, no, not today. They go to the desk. They ask, the manager asks, are they buying a car today? Salesperson says, no, not today. Manager asks why. Now we have confrontation.
Yeah.
So now we have a customer that's negative. We have a salesperson that's distraught, and we have a manager now that's frustrated. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So what's the alternative? What are you recommending?
Great question. The alternative is to invest the time with the customer. Make sure they found the car they like. And at the end of the process, all you got to ask them is, do you like the car? Do you see this car fitting into your wants and needs? Don't ask them if they're going to buy the car now. Ask them to buy the car after you've presented the numbers. Again, I don't want that negativity. Keep in mind, we ask the trial close and the customer says, yes, I'll buy the car today. We have a great situation.
Yeah.
But if the customer says no, now the salesperson is overcoming objections on the lot. The salesperson's frustrated. They're afraid to go to the manager to tell the manager no.
Right.
Funny thing of all is that if we never asked the question, and had we asked the question and the customer said yes, and we did not ask the question, they'd still buy the car at the end when we asked them if they wanted to buy the car. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. So on that first pencil, when you're not necessarily asking them, will they buy the car today if the numbers are agreeable? What do you do on the second pencil when the customer looks at the numbers and says, hey, we're we're miles apart, or it's too much, you're not giving me enough for my trade, or the payment's too high, whatever the situation is, are you then saying to the customer, listen, if I go back to my manager, okay, he's going to want to know, is this a deal for today? Are you ready to do business today? Is it okay to do that?
Yeah, well, let me make a statement first, and then I'll answer that question because it's a great question. First of all, one of the mistakes we make is we don't ask for the sale. We get to the pencil, however you want to do it, a four square, multiple options. We say, here, circle the number that works best for you. I don't like any of that. The salesperson has earned the right to ask for their business.
Yeah.
They've been with the customer now, let's say, for 90 minutes. They've built a relationship.
Yep.
The customer likes them. We teach what we call the 7 most effective words to closing a car deal. Present your numbers and then ask, would you like to buy the car? And I always use the dating analogy. You don't meet a girl and in the first 30 seconds say, hey, if I invest 30 minutes with you and you like me, will you give me your phone number? No. You invested time, you get her to like you, and then you say, hey, can I have your phone number?
Right.
So we've got to ask for the deal.
Right.
Would you like to buy the car? 7 most effective words.
Right. And
Second,
from that, obviously from that question, they're going to be then telling you what it's going to take to sell them the car, right? They're going to come back and go, we'd like to buy the car, but only if the trade is more, only if we get the sales price down, only if we get the payment we want or the interest rate, whatever the case might be, right?
Jim, you nailed it, 100%. And here's what's interesting. When you ask that question, you're going to get 2 answers. And one of the answers is not going to be a flat no. Would you like to buy the car? Some people say yes, and we're shocked.
Yeah.
But nobody just says no. They say no, and then they give you a reason. They say no,
that's right,
the payment's too high. No, you're not giving it for my trade. So both of those responses, to me, are closing comments. No, you're not giving it for my trade. You're telling me, well, you give me more for my trade.
That's right.
Or you convince me why this trade is only worth that amount of time. I will buy the car. And then we can go from there.
Right.
Now, one more thing I want to bring up. The worst thing that can be said, and we're starting to say it again now, is when a customer states the payment's too high. The worst thing you can ever ask the customer is, what payment did you have in mind? What price did you have in mind? What did you think your trade's worth? Once you do that, you have lost all your gross profit.
Yeah.
Because the customer never gives a realistic number.
No, never.
And now you're working from their number.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Number 2, you've lost all control of the negotiations.
Right.
Now that customer is in complete control.
Yeah. So what's an alternative to that?
Well, the alternative is to sell and sell and sell. And I have no problem with negotiating. Listen, if a customer comes in and they're intelligent and they want to negotiate, let's negotiate. But let's negotiate from our strengths. So at that point there, it's more about validating. And if I'm going to discount the car, which I have no problem in today's market, we're going to start discounting cars. Let us control the discounts. Give them small discounts, small drops. Get the manager involved. That's what they're trained to do. I'm pro the TO process. Get a manager out there to get involved to help put the deal together. 2 heads are better than 1.
Yeah.
But don't ever ask, what is it going to take to close this deal today? What payment did you have in mind? What did you think your trade's worth? Because as soon as those words come out of your mouth, you have lost. You might close the deal, but you're making no money on the deal.
And I think it's also important that managers hear this, because in the event that salesperson goes back to the desk manager, and what's the first question out of the mouth of the manager that's working that deal? Well, where do they want to be? Well, how far away are we? Well, what number did they have in mind? Maybe they're on the wrong car altogether. Maybe they're looking at a $400 payment or their goal, and meanwhile they're on an $800 a month payment or car. So, you gotta make sure that the manager is in sync with that salesperson, because those questions are going to come from the desk manager as well, right? To the salesperson.
Again, you nailed that one too. So when we train in dealerships, all of our training starts with the management level.
Yeah.
We've got to retrain the managers to stop asking the questions. The managers have to be in sync with the salespeople, who have to be in sync with the customer.
Right.
Selling a car should not be hard.
Yeah.
And it should be fun. It should be fun for the person buying the car, and it should be fun for the people selling the car.
That's right.
I've always said, if you're not having fun, go do something else. It's too much hard work.
That's exactly right.
Who wants to work hard today? I want to work hard. You don't want to work hard. I want to work smart, and I want to make a lot of money, but I want to have fun doing what I do.
That's
and when
right.
it no longer becomes fun, I'm done.
That's right. Let me ask you, what do you do with that customer that comes on the lot or in the showroom and goes, "Hey, I'm here," and they do an information dump with you. There's my trade. This is how much I owe. My goal is to spend no more than $400 a month. Let's take it from there. What do you recommend a salesperson does in a situation like that? Because that's a reality. You will get customers that do that.
There's only one answer to that. You got to follow that process the customer sets forth. Because if you don't, if you try to force your process, which might be different, on that customer is going to shut down and is going to become defensive. Sometimes you just have to let the customer be in total control. Because if you don't, you're going to lose. It's sort of like the manager that states, I'm not going to give the customer a price until they tell me they're ready to buy the car.
Right.
Let them go shopping, tell them to come back with their best price, then I'll beat it. And you know what? That customer never comes back. You've just irritated them.
That's right.
They leave there saying, I knew they were going to do that
That's
to me.
right.
They don't want to commit to anything. So sometimes you just got to follow the way the customer wants to do it.
That's right. That's right. Have you found, has your company been hired now by these dealer groups to say, you got to retrain my people that we hired in this post-COVID world, because they really don't know, what selling cars is all about?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing we're getting right now is,
Yeah.
Can you bring us back to how to sell a car?
Right.
It was great for 2-3 years. We lived and we loved it. We were making grosses. I mean, what could be a better situation? Here's the car. Here's the price. If you don't like it, no problem. The guy behind you is going to buy it.
Exactly. We all knew it wasn't going to last, though, right?
No,
That's right.
But we had a great run at it.
Yeah.
We should be happy and thrilled. But now we have to get back to selling cars.
That's right. That's right. Hey, before I let you get out of here, and I appreciate all the time you've given us today, talk to us about NADA. I see, the announcements that you've got on social media. You're going to be at NADA, and talk to us about that.
NADA, another great year. We're going to be in Las Vegas. I am speaking again. Don't know how many times it's been, but I've spoken a lot. This year, my topic is how to increase your dealership profits by $50,000 per month.
Wow.
Love that topic. I'm going to share a ton of ideas, simple ideas that everyone can take back to their dealership, implement immediately, that's going to make them an extra $50,000 per month. Jim, I believe in a philosophy, a little plus a little plus a little equals a lot.
That's right.
If I can take every year of your dealership and increase it just a little bit, and we all know those are easy things to do, by the time we've increased all those areas, it's going to be a lot. So we're going to talk about areas in the sales process, in the F&I process, in the BDC department, in your fixed ops department, all these little areas that we can increase to captivate another $50,000 per month in profits for the dealership.
That's fantastic, and 50 grand is another $600,000 a year. Obviously, at the end of the year, it's $600,000 in additional profit right to the bottom line. So, David Lewis, President and CEO of David Lewis and Associates, thank you so much for joining us. For dealers that are listening, you're not going to want to miss David's session. It is always a packed house. This guy's been doing this a long time, and he knows how to turn your dealership around, or at least get it headed in the right direction. And I think all dealers need that right about now. So, David, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jim. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.